Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore travel, stories, and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this episode we're diving into a country. So each season we feature different countries to highlight, whether it be randomly spinning on the globe, fan choice, or featuring a local from a certain country and hearing their perspective. If you would like to come on the podcast and talk about your country, feel free to reach out to my email, culturecultshow@gmail.com, or on Instagram @culturecultshow. If you like the show, leave a review, share it with your best friend, your favorite coworker, your cousin, anyone you think who'd also like it. It really helps out the podcast, but also more people get to learn about the world. Hope you all enjoy this episode. Cheers and enjoy. Hey y'all, so today we are starting our series in the season on Indonesia, which I found is a really fascinating country. It was not what I was expecting at all. When I was learning about it, there's a lot to cover. That's why we're doing a whole series on it. In this series, we're going to cover wild animals, such as this episode. Then we're going to cover one of the deadliest eruptions on Earth, the eruption of Krakatoa. And then lastly, we're going to end on a very special story. We're going to end the series on a story I found while just scouring YouTube. It was a documentary about a documentary crew that went into the Korowai tribes on the island of Papua Guinea. And the Korowai tribes have just recently been discovered in the 1970s. So before the 1970s till now, they've just been doing their own thing in the jungles. So that alone is insane. But when the documentary crew went into the tribes, they saw a boy that they proclaimed they were going to kill soon, and they rescued the boy, the documentary crew, and the boy was possibly going to even be eaten. And now that boy is a man, and his name is Wawa. And I am in the process of entering Wawa right now, so hopefully by the end of this season, you'll already see the episode ready to go, and you can just hear his story in person. So yeah, Indonesia was a big series, but today we're just going to focus on animals, the wild animals of Indonesia. And we have two familiar voices coming on today, my friends and also twin brothers, Chris and Cal Segocho. Cal has been on our episodes of Belize and Zimbabwe, and Chris has been on the episode of Libya. And their dad is originally from Jakarta, so they're half Indonesian, but also they're like constantly talking about wild animals and like talking like as if they are on the Animal Channel. So naturally, I asked them to come on, and I hope y'all enjoy. Cheers. Okay, well, we have y'all on today because y'all are Indonesian or halfies.
Well, together we're one.
Together, you're one Indonesian man.
That's right.
Actually, when we combine, we actually like to refer to ourselves as the Indonesian man. We like combine our, forces, and then we become the Indonesian man.
The Indonesian man. Because your dad's Indonesian, right?
Yes.
Last time I checked, yeah.
He's there right now, still?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time y'all went back?
We were kids. It was probably like around our parents' hip. I don't know how, like maybe like 6 years old, 7.
Was it like a culture shock? Because I feel like you're from San Francisco and then you go visit your family in Indonesia.
It was definitely pretty different. Everywhere you go, the infrastructure is different. All the food is different.
Oh.
The way people get around is different. There's absolutely no lane dividers when we were there.
Yeah, no.
But there's like this unspoken code that people just get around. So yeah, I mean, everything was different, and it was like going to outer space. I mean, it just was nothing from our world, really.
Yeah. I mean, I will say like the things that really stick out to me, it's obviously changed a lot because when we went, it was back in the 90s, and there's way less infrastructure than there is now. But from what I remember, the rice paddies, the beautiful woodwork, the food, the people, I would highly recommend it to anyone who is looking to explore a side of the world that has a lot to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's definitely a spiritual energy there. Having gone ourselves, yeah, we were a little bit young, but I've had a bunch of friends that have gone and have said the same thing. And I think it has something to do with the humidity that makes you start praying, when things start sticking to you.
That's why the South loves Jesus.
Yep.
Well, this is great. Y'all don't know much about your culture in a way. Like you've been, but like you don't, we eat the food. We love the food, but we could definitely connect more with your culture. So we'll just start from the basic facts. Let's do some facts. So actually, Indonesia has like the craziest facts. Everything there is just extreme. So the first fact I found was that, I mean, like the size of it is insane. It has a lot of people, which I know y'all know, but guess how many people you think live in Indonesia? Just take a guess.
I know it's very densely populated.
Mm-hmm.
As a whole country, it's kind of tough to tell because it's like 17,000 islands.
That's good. That's a fact. You knew that.
So I'm going to say like, I don't know, 17,000 islands. I would probably say 250 mil.
Okay, Chris.
I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna say like 269.
Okay, Kyle, take a fucking shot. Take a shot. So Indonesia, that's actually super close, Chris. It has a population of 264 million people.
Damn, it's over.
It ranks number 4 in the most densely populated nation following China, USA, and India. But again, I mean, their landmass is a lot smaller, but it has a population 11 times larger than Australia. So it's just everyone's just packed, mainly in Jakarta, like in those main islands, you know?
Yeah, Jakarta's actually sinking right now.
Yeah, it's too many people. Oh my gosh. So Jakarta is packed. Officially, as of right now, 17,500 islands. 6,000 of those islands are inhabited. And 10 million people live on the island of Jakarta. So there you go.
I thought the number in Jakarta would be bigger than that.
10 million people. How much is like New York?
New York is actually 8.4 mil in 2021.
So that's kind of insane. Jakarta has more than New York.
Yeah, well, and the other crazy thing too is that these are all on islands, so you can't really spread out.
No. Oh my gosh, that's actually overwhelming. Yeah, so my other fact is that it's home to the largest volcanic lake on Earth, and it's known as also has a headhunter island in the middle of the lake. So
Headhunter Island. That sounds really inviting.
So it's called Lake Toba. It's the world's biggest natural volcanic lake, and it's located inside a supervolcano on the island of Sumatra. It's super big. I'm going to spit out a bunch of numbers. I don't really know what any of this means, but apparently it's 500 meters deep, 100 kilometers long, 30 kilometers wide.
That's a lot of meters.
That's a lot of meters up and down everywhere. So y'all do the math. Lake Toba is thought to be a site of a monster eruption that occurred around 70,000 years ago. Sorry. And it's thought to be the largest known eruption ever on Earth, and it killed a majority of the humans alive at the time. Indonesia is literally just sitting on a bunch of hot spots. It's like incredibly volcanic. Yeah.
That might actually lead to soil being a certain way too, because the properties of the volcanic soil that come from the volcano leads to the foliage and fauna developing and evolving the way that it did.
Yeah, it's like you get the best of the world and the worst of the world. It's an extreme. The most amazing produce, the most amazing flowers and like fields, and then you could also just die at any second from a volcano eruption or tsunami. So extreme.
I think it's also just important to remember that yes, we get to enjoy like these beautiful meadows and these beautiful forests, but the actual act of creation on Earth is incredibly brutal and incredibly violent. And so, you know, with Indonesia being just a hotbed of volcanoes, and you know, it checks out like with it being so spiritual, because the energy of life is so strong in Indonesia with the volcanoes, and you look at the foliage and the animals that have lived there and how dense the forest can be. It really makes sense the more you talk about how dangerous it is to live there in terms of the volcanic life. But you know, yes, it is dangerous to humans, but in terms of you know, creation stories of the earth, this is how it happened.
That's so true. It's constantly living and breathing, you know.
Yeah, and smoking.
And smoking. Okay, the next fact I feel like you'll know. This is a pretty popular fact. It has the world's biggest flower. It's called the Rafflesia. I'm not even going to say this right. Rafflesia arnoldia.
Is that the Titan arum you're talking about?
It's the corpse lily. It's the one that smells horrible.
Yeah, it smells like meat, right?
Ew.
Rotting flesh.
Yeah. It says it has a foul odor upon blooming. It's the largest flower in the world. They're really, really tricky to find. And it only lasts like a short few days once it opens. And it's parasitic. It can grow up to 3 feet tall and can weigh up to 10 kilograms. Again, no idea what that means, but I hope that's
So I heard that. So I actually did a lot of research on that too, because it's a fascinating plant. I heard that it could grow to 10 feet tall.
Oh, shit.
Which is basically like a basketball hoop. And it can take, and it can take like 10 years to grow that pillar that comes out the middle of it. And then when it does bloom, it produces this illusion to insects that it is a rotting corpse. And so it emits this smell, but also it has enough energy from blooming this like pillar for 10 years that it can actually heat the pillar so that it actually feels like a dead animal to the insect. So that the pillar in the middle is actually heated to 98 degrees, which is like, the temperature of a
perfect bath
animal that has just died.
Oh, or that.
So it basically tricks bugs into thinking they're going to get a free meal and then just coats them with pollen.
What?
Yeah.
That's fascinating that it's also tricky to find, but hard to miss with it being so.
Right. Yeah. How is it so hard to find? It's like an obvious biggest flower in the world is the hardest one to find.
For all those listening, I would suggest looking up a picture of this. They look like something out of some outer space TV series.
A lot of plants do something very similar. The Venus flytrap does something very similar where it emits a smell that would attract, insects to get closer and, to land on it. And so basically through somehow, some way, this plant discovered that the best way for it to survive was to mimic a dead animal so that it could get the insects that it needs to pollinate it. Because the insects that go to this, like they go into this huge plant looking for a meal, thinking that they're going to, get a steak dinner tonight. And in the end, they just walk out covered in pollen. So it's not the best symbiotic relationship, shall we say. It's basically like having a free beer sign at your show and then saying, oh, that's tomorrow. I mean, take it from me. It works great. But, seeing the people on the way out, they're not exactly the happiest. In fact, they could say we kind of bugged him a little bit with.
Oh my God.
No. I'm going for the record. I want everyone in this podcast to know I'm going for it. I don't care if I'm missed.
That wasn't my favorite of yours. That wasn't my favorite, but you tried, and that's all that matters.
I'm just getting warmed up here, and I'm still young.
I know, fuck. Yeah, so crazy. I just looked it up.
I know. And I think it has to do with the volcanic soil. I think there's something there. That this plant was like, it could do this because it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Like there's nothing like that in North America.
I literally just typed in the flower name and then why, just why on Google. I'm trying to figure out why it exists.
That's funny. I just typed in your name and then typed in why.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that flower, hopefully, if you ever smell rotting flesh in the jungle, it could be a dead body or this flower. So that's fact. Moving on. Indonesia is the only place on Earth to observe the Komodo dragon.
Circa is a brand new travel channel. It's filled with shows to help you learn how to travel this amazing world. Our guides are written and hosted by locals, with dedicated episodes about food, music, history, architecture, sports, fashion, and much, much more. Circa is a new immersive way to help you plan the perfect trip. Just search Circa. That's CERCA. New episodes will be released all the time. Circa. Love the world you live in, and we'll help you explore it.
So I'm picking Komodo dragons, and y'all are going to pick animals too to talk about. And the local Indonesian name for these prehistoric lizards are the ora, which I think is very beautiful. And the ora is the world's largest species of lizard. It's 8 feet long, and it exists on 5 islands. So you can be aware when you go visit, you could run into this sucker. It's a Pardar Island, Gili, which is very, very popular among backpackers. Motang, Flores, another popular backpacker island. Rinca, and Komodo dragon. Very obvious. You can hit or miss that one.
I'd rather miss it.
Yeah, I'd rather miss it. They have toxic bites. They have carnivorous. How do you say it? They eat meat. Thank you. They eat meat, y'all. They hunt and they kill animals that are far bigger than them, including humans. Humans are nothing to them. But the thing that scares me is that they can run, swim, and climb trees.
Mhm.
They're not actually totally arboreal. They're only that way in the beginning of their lives so that they can escape cannibalism by other Komodo dragons.
Oh,
Because other Komodo dragons will eat them if they're caught on the ground. So they have to go to the trees in their early lives, a couple of years until they get big enough to be able to stay on the ground for longer.
like they just eat each other.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
they're kind of,
anything that fits down their freaking throat.
Wait, so they don't climb trees when they're adults?
they can't.
So
They're too heavy.
Okay, great. So maybe you can escape them by climbing a tree, but they can
You
run.
they can run. They're fast. The little ones go into the trees to escape the bigger ones.
Oh my God, that's not a fun childhood at all. Okay.
Nature doesn't have fun childhoods for anyone.
Oh my God. Okay, but they can run up to brief sprints up to 12 miles per hour. That's fucking insane. And they can swim and they can dive up to 15 feet. And yeah, as it says, the young ones can climb trees. So maybe, yeah, the young ones can climb, but if there's an adult, you better run faster than 12 miles an hour and they could swim and dive and they're athletic, is what I'm trying to say.
They say that you're supposed to run in zigzags. But if you were to ever do the tour, if it was your time of the month, shall we say, you actually can't go on the tour because the minute they're pretty people can go right up to them if they're not hungry, but the minute that they smell blood, it triggers something in them and they will they can smell the blood from very, very far away. And so if it's that time of the month, you actually are not allowed to go on the tours because it doesn't matter if they smell blood from a dead creature or a live creature. Once they find it, it's pretty much seek and destroy.
Oh
and
my God,
that's
terrifying. Because you could just start your period at any time. That's really scary.
Right. And if you started on a Komodo dragon tour, it's going to be a very, very short tour.
Okay, speaking of that, according to Discover Wildlife, there have been 31 attacks by these dragons since 1974. Some of these deadly attacks, one of the most recent ones was in 2007. An 8-year-old boy on Komodo Dragon Island was attacked near a watering hole and died. And then 2008, this is a pretty famous story actually. A group of scuba divers were near the island and were fighting a very strong current for 10 hours straight, and they just couldn't get loose. So they washed up on the wrong island. There's 17,000 islands, and they washed up on Rinka Island, which is one of them. And that's where 1,300 dragons live. And they thought the island was deserted. And they instead were relentlessly attacked day in, day out at all times for 3 days straight. And they didn't have anything on them. They were just scuba divers that were just washed ashore. And so they just tried to defend themselves with anything they had. But then a few days after, Indonesian rescue crew spotted them and got them off the island. So I don't know. I don't want to be anywhere near this place. Any of those islands.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
What do you mean?
Their survival story.
Yeah, they have nothing on them. And it's just can you imagine? You're like, oh, we found land. It's okay. And then you see one Komodo dragon and then you see another and then you see a horde and you're like, fuck.
Well, especially if you just fought a current for that long.
Yeah, you're exhausted. And I have to fight off these dragon lizards.
I have to slay some dragons.
Play some Game of Thrones in Indonesia. That's what happened.
I'm king of the island.
King of the island. So, I mean, they kill by their venom in their jaws, which is why they have no problem taking down a human. So if you go visit these islands, as Kyle was saying, you can run zigzag because they can only run straight. But you got to run really fast. And if you get bit, you're kind of screwed. Because they'll stalk you and then they'll follow you for miles after you get bit because they're waiting for the venom to hit and then they'll kill you.
And if it bites you, first of all, they have razor sharp teeth. And their teeth are so sharp that they could rip flesh off things like bison and deer.
Jesus.
And things that have much tougher skin than us. But the thing isn't to just bite and then actively kill. The thing is that they bite and then wait.
Yeah.
They just wait and watch.
Damn.
Yeah, that hunting pattern actually reminds me of what's other venomous reptiles will do, like snakes, that they won't try to bite to kill. They'll bite and then just track and then just wait for the venom to take hold, like a rattlesnake would do that.
Would y'all want to go to one of these islands? Would you do a tour?
Yes.
Just don't go on your period, Kyle.
I am the Dragon King. I have the blood of the dragon.
That's what all these people said before they got bit. I am the Dragon King.
They have to say it's in the contract you signed to go over. You cannot proclaim that you are king of the dragon.
It's in the contract when you go. Don't say it's Dragon King.
See, this is a waiver that says these are not actual dragons, and no, you cannot ride them.
No, and also you're not the Dragon King. That was the last words of all these people. Yeah. Are you gonna go, Chris? The Komodo Dragon Islands? Would you go on a tour?
Oh, definitely. I think the experience would be to be very a safe distance away, and then just be quicker than the people around me, and I should be fine.
Okay. Great.
So Marie, you want to go take a tour with us?
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds like Chris will totally save me in a situation.
Hey, I think Dragon King over here is going to save you. He's going to be like Dragon King, and they're going to want to eat him instead.
Dragon King. You can't be both. You're either Galbi King or Dragon King.
Don't make me choose.
Just for y'all listeners, Kyle is the worst person to go get Korean barbecue with. He's so fucking obnoxious.
I am the best person to get Korean
All
barbecue.
he wants to eat is Galbi, and all he does is yell at the waiter about Galbi, and then he just consumes at a rate that you've never seen another man consume. So,
well, I just want them to know, like, when I ask for all the galbi, I'm not asking for a lot of galbi. I'm asking for all of the galbi that they have.
You didn't understand me. I said all the Galbi.
I said all the galbi.
So are you Galbi King or Dragon King? You can't be both.
Well, as I haven't done the tour yet, you kind of need to like be there to wear the crown. So I'm gonna stick to Galbi King for now. But Komodo, I'm coming.
Let's move on from lizards. Do y'all have any animal from Indonesia? Teach me things, okay? I'm the student.
All right. Well, so I was actually looking into a lot of the native animals in Indonesia, and Sumatra is one of the most diverse and fascinating places in the world. It actually has a lot of animals that people don't even know about. Like, for example, did you know that Sumatra has a rhino?
No.
Yep. They have the Sumatran rhino. It's very, very rare. Not much is known about it. But think about this. Okay. So how tall are you, Marie?
5'3" and proud.
Okay. I would say, like, last time I saw you looked a little closer to 5, but we'll say 5'3".
Don't call me out.
This rhino, Sumatran rhino, like how tall do you think it is?
It's 7 feet.
Wow. So it's like an elephant.
What do you mean? Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to tell you?
Well, the right answer is they're 4 feet tall.
Okay.
But they weigh a ton.
Oh, wow. So he thick.
No, he dummy thick. Something else you may not know. Actually, we'll do a round table. So, Chris, why don't you share
Chris,
a fun animal fact or story, which I know that you have many.
So I will actually use this opportunity to speak about an experience with animals in Indonesia.
Did you meet the thick-ass rhino?
I didn't run into any of those.
He's always looking for those thick-ass rhinos.
Usually they find me. So when we went to Indonesia, we went to the monkey temples. Now, the monkey temples are speaking of Indonesia as being a spiritual place, everyone wants to go to the monkey temples. People love monkey temples. They think it's going to be like the Jungle Book. That's actually not how it goes. So the monkeys there have developed a understanding that if they can rob people, they will get food. And they're actually rewarded. So basically every monkey at the temple, and they're there for this, knows that they can get food if they can jump on anybody, grab a hat, sunglasses, purse. They'll sit above you and they'll bare their teeth so you don't chase them. And their teeth are like really long.
They look like baboons.
Yeah, they're very, very similar teeth structure to a baboon. Yeah, really long canines. So it's interesting that they've learned over the years to not look in nature for food and instead just wait around the temple and steal people's purses and hats and stuff.
Honestly, smart. I get it.
They hold their hand out, and then you have to go find a park attendant to give you some peanuts to barter your bag with.
Like you go in, like they like know you're going to be robbed. Like you're paying to be robbed. And
No,
you
they
leave the
actually
food.
don't tell you that's going to happen until you get off.
That's amazing. Like it's
Yeah.
actually an entire business system happening between man and monkey. I love this.
So when we went here, Chris and I are little kids, all right? So we're small. And I remember sitting on a step and just kind of like taking it all in because it's a beautiful temple. And this monkey hops up to me, and it's one of the male ones. And I look over at him, he looks over at me, and we have this moment like, you know how when you're, sitting on an empty bus, right? And someone just takes a seat next to you. So like we look at each other, like I was like, what are you doing? And he literally looks at me, and I suddenly noticed that he's actually the same size as me. And he flashes his teeth like fucking huge canines, just flashes them as like a, hey, like I'm here. Don't touch me. Don't ask me to move. And so I could tell right away from the intent in his eyes that he was all about hearing evil, seeing evil, and speaking evil. Like these monkeys are little connivers. And we actually saw these monkeys. They would steal the hats off our family members and run away with them until, and like you couldn't get it from them because the minute you try to reach for it, they'll flash their teeth. And it's like they have very big teeth. And so what you had to do, as Chris was saying, is you had to go to the front, buy some peanuts, and trade with them. And we literally saw this exchange happen where our grandma got the bag of peanuts, literally gave it to the monkey. And before the monkey let go, like they're both holding onto the peanuts and the hat that he stole, the beret she was wearing. As she handed the monkey this bag of peanuts, the monkey handed back the beret, and they both let go at the same time. It was insane how smart these monkeys are, that they can do that, and we don't give them enough credit.
I think we do. I think everyone knows that monkeys are little hooligans. Yeah, I'm totally good. I'm honestly good without seeing another monkey. I'm totally fine with it. I don't like them. Actually, this is a monkey I don't mind. The orangutan, which I know Chris had some facts.
That is not a monkey. That is a
monkey.
Oh my God. Are you fact checking my ass?
Fact check that out.
Ass. And you're going to have to take a shot right now. So look it up.
Fine. I want to take a shot. Thank you.
Fine. And yeah, be wrong.
Okay, then then this is your floor. What's an orangutan then if it ain't a monkey?
All right. So what's different about orangutans? Did you know that they have 97% DNA in common with humans? And yet they look so different. But just to go to show you a couple percentages and you're an orangutan.
Wow. Like how about why? Like why though?
It's because we shared a common ancestor many, many, many years ago.
But why they look like that?
So they look like that because evolutionarily they're designed to be the biggest arboreal primate. They spend all their time in trees pretty much. They're pretty much solitary. The only thing that brings them together is when they obviously are looking to mate, or they'll look for the Nessia fruit. And so what orangutans actually have learned, and these are actually the primates that probably like one of the top primates that use tools. They'll use sticks to get into the openings of the ripe Nessia fruit and prime out the seeds. So they've learned through millions of years of evolution that their brain has grown enough to actually use tools. So the goal here is for the males, because the males are about twice as heavy as the females. The males are about maybe 180, 182 pounds. Females are maybe like 80 pounds. So the males, how they attract mates is they grow their cheeks out.
Oh yeah, I hate it. I don't like the way they look, honestly. But they seem sweet.
Like dental. Orangutan in Indonesian actually means person of the forest. So speaking of the spiritual nature of the place, probably one of the heaviest orbital creatures. And they have huge arms. They can literally hang from branch to branch and travel the canopy.
God, that sounds just like Kyle. You described him perfectly. Huge arms.
Marie's just commenting on the fact that I have very nice arms.
I said the largest arms.
Orangutans, they can actually lift like twice their body weight. So you lift, Marie, or
That's why you lift 20 pounds, huh?
been to the gym lately?
Actually, I did today. No, I think they're cool. I don't know. I'm really into monkeys in general, but I do think it's
They're
interesting
not
how.
monkeys.
Not monkeys.
Oh my God,
That's another
orangutan.
shot. We just
Fact check that
ass.
ass. Take your shot. You know you're wrong. They're not monkeys.
Okay, whatever they are arbules, whatever.
They're primates.
They're
Primates.
primates. Arbual just means they're tree born.
Okay,
Arboreal.
borealis. Got it. They're primates. I think it's interesting if we share all that DNA, how they're vegetarian, but we're.
So they're not, or they'll eat insects and they'll eat bird eggs. They're not totally opposed to protein.
They're not totally vegetarian. I have actually seen one eat like a small mammal. Hold on, let's see this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we learned today about komodo dragons, and we learned about orangutans are not monkeys, y'all.
And I've got great news. I also looked up some animals too.
Do you have one?
I have a few actually. The first one is called a mud skipper. So these actually aren't native to Indonesia, but they're super fascinating because it's a fish that can breathe underwater and actually spends most of its life out of water.
What?
Yeah. So they're found in the mangroves on mudflats. They're an amphibious fish. So they're not just found in Indonesia. They're also found in other Southeast Asian countries as well. But they absorb oxygen through their skin and they have eyes like land-based animals. So what that means is that even though it's a fish, it can see out of water better than in water.
What?
Yeah, this fish is totally adapted to life outside of water. And what it does is they will rip the limbs off crabs. And the crabs, obviously, they can regrow the limbs, which is fucking insane. And they may even grow even larger than the limb they had originally lost. But the most fascinating thing about them is that they actually have like a joint at their front fins, which they use to propel themselves around. So it's literally like this fish has like two arms, which it uses to push itself around the mud flats and find prey.
Wait, this is what we came from. Didn't we come from a fish that came from that started walking around?
It does look like that original image of like, life first discovering, life on land. It does look like that.
So give it a few million years and then this could be a human or something.
Give it a few million years and you could be working for one.
Actually, they have one. And the one I'm looking at is in the San Francisco Zoo. They have one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. You can actually have them as pets and they scream at each other too.
Oh yeah. That's actually one of the things on Google is mud.
Go ahead and click on that and let me know what comes up.
Oh, these fucking pictures. I'm going to post this on Instagram. Why is this so funny? Why are they screaming? I've never heard of that. Cool. Yay. I actually really learned something.
Good thing for you because you're about to learn a little bit more.
Okay.
No podcast or episode is really complete about Indonesia if it doesn't talk about the Sumatran tiger.
Bitch, I have my notes, so I'm ready. Bring it on. I have my notes. I'm going to fact check your ass.
All right, you're going to fact check this ass?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
So they're actually the smallest tiger in the world. They can grow to 9 to 12 feet long and weigh 300 pounds. They are actually the last tiger left in Indonesia because the Java and Balinese tigers are unfortunately now extinct. So despite their size and their name as a tiger, they're actually around the same size as a very big leopard or a jaguar.
Oh.
They can actually bite. Their bite is over 10,000 pounds of force. So I don't recommend getting bit. And their roars, actually, tigers have some of the loudest roars. It can be heard over 2 miles away. Because of the way that they built, they actually have this bone structure in their neck, which prevents them from purring.
Why?
It makes it so they can't purr, but it makes it so that they can roar.
Oh. And
so the tigers can't purr. They actually chuff. So chuffing is like when they go like, it's like, it sounds like a horse almost.
Huh.
And it's what they do to show contentment, actually.
I actually just read the book Life of Pi, and he talks about that. Exactly.
Oh, he got real chuffy with that
He got
tiger.
real chuffy. Yeah, because he talks about how they're not hurting. Like he makes
They
his
were buddy
contentment.
chuffy at the end of that. So they're actually the rarest tiger also. A very sad fact that I learned while learning more about the Sumatran tiger is that there's actually more tigers now in America than there are in the wild. And these tigers are rapidly losing their lifestyle due to habitat destruction and poaching because they're killed for their coats, and their bones and organs are used in medicine, which is really sad.
So I'm gonna have like in the show notes, maybe if you were interested, someone's interested on like donating or learning more about it, like conservation, I'm gonna put that in the show notes because I wrote that about that too. It's so like for what? A stupid rug? Some bones?
Yeah, I actually saw on OfferUp a Sumatran tiger rug. It was a real one.
No, that makes me so angry.
I know. And it's just something that is clearly better on the tiger than it is in some house or, some like museum or zoo. These things need to be wild and free.
Yeah. Actually, Life of Pi was interesting, like, because I don't go to zoos. We talked about this many times, but he was really talking about how the writer was talking about in the perspective of the character that the zoos are beneficial for a lot of the animals. And that he was saying there are a lot of instances where the cages will be left open and the animals go out, but return to the zoos.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the parable of the cave, right? You can open the whole world to something that was born in a cage. And what do you think it's going to do? It's going to return to the cage because that's its comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's not used to being wild and free and being able to roam wherever they want.
Well, I do think like with a lot of effort and conservation and a lot of strict rules, like a lot of species have come back. So I think like there's 400 to 600 left. So I think as long as Indonesia is very good about that and there's a lot of like conservation efforts, I think it can definitely make a comeback. The more awareness about it, the better. So
the main issue with Indonesia now with the deforestation is the multiple use of palm oil.
Mm-hmm.
And palm oil requires land to grow. And it's a lot more profitable than just having a natural habitat full of, animals and insects and roots and trees that have been there for millions of years. It's the new like natural source. And Indonesia is largely like second, third world country. The money going into the country is not anywhere like palm oil is the number one export. And people who are motivated only by money and not about impact will only care about the money they can get from palm oil and not about the impact of the land that's used to take the palm oil or create the palm oil for the rest of the world.
I did look that up too. And that's another resource I'm going to put in because there's a lot of stuff that I use, that we all use that has palm oil. So, there's ways we could stop like using some of these products. And I know it's not the most effort, but it is something. It's overwhelming. And that's like all over Southeast Asia. A lot of deforestation is due to palm oil. Yeah, so here Chris is talking about a huge and terrifying issue of deforestation in Indonesia. But it's not just in Indonesia. Obviously, it happens all over the world. But it specifically is happening in Indonesia and Southeast Asia and all over palm oil, which is in like every product, like almost every product. So if you want to check out the show notes, I have found some lists with popular brands and products that palm oil in it and like different names that palm oil is under that you can kind of check when you're buying something. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I was using and maybe am still using that has it in it. And so I'm trying to figure out ways I can make these changes. If there's a better brand, if I can make any of these things naturally in my own home. I mean, I feel like even if it's a small thing like switching your shampoo brand or switching out your chapstick, it seems like a small thing, but if we all collectively do it, I feel like we can make a big change. And maybe I'm just being an optimist, but I'd rather try than just hear like devastating news like this where orangutans and tigers and all these animals that have been around for centuries don't have a home anymore because I want my stupid chapstick, So if you do want to see what I'm talking about, there are some websites in the show notes telling you products that you can switch. You could look it up on your own. But also in general in the show notes, I have other conservation sites I posted helping out some of these animals or more information on these animals. And I think it's really important to be looking up the pictures of these animals while we're talking about this, because some of these animals I've never heard of and they look funny or they're weird looking or I just never seen them before. So I'll have the pictures in the show notes. You could see it on the Instagram at culturecultshow, or if you're watching this episode on YouTube, you'll be able to see all these animals as we're talking about it right now. But yeah, hopefully we can make some sort of impact on this. Okay, back to the show. So yeah, I feel like I learned a lot in this episode. I really was like kind of mind blown the most about the mud sliders. What are they called?
A skipper.
Skipper.
So if you thought that blew your mind, I got one more animal.
Oh, one more.
Okay. So this one is actually one of the cutest animals ever. It's called a slow loris.
Okay, I'm looking up slow loris.
Hmm?
I don't know if that's cute.
You don't think so?
Maybe I'll take a vote on the Instagram, but that.
Well, good, because these animals are a lot of times taken from the wild and sold into the illegal pet trade. And it's actually very terrible. They are mostly arboreal. They eat flowers, other smaller things. And something that's really cool about them is that they're actually the only venomous primate on the planet.
What?
Yep. Their bite has a venom in it that actually comes from their armpits. So their armpits produce the venom. They lick it. Okay. And then in order to deter predators from eating them, they'll rub that venom on their body, or they'll lick it and then get it into their teeth so that when they bite, they actually can give a venomous bite that way. And it all started from not all started, I guess, but there was a couple YouTube videos showing how cute they are, where they will actually raise their hands up like this, like this, right? And people think that they're very cute when they do that, and they'll tickle them.
Oh, I just saw that.
Yeah. But that's torture for them. So they actually raise their hands as a defensive mechanism. And so unfortunately, in the pet trade, a lot of times the poachers will actually cut the teeth or clip the teeth of the loris so that they can't bite their owners and give them the deadly hit or the deadly bite. It's absolutely cruel to own them as pets. It's a very selfish thing to do. And, they're very independent. Bright lights hurt their eyes, so they're not great for homes. And at the same time, they are very, people find them to be very cute. And so they bring them as pets. In fact, Lady Gaga actually tried to have one in her music video for GUY. It spells guy, but it stands for girl under you. In 2014, she was going to have one of these things, the slow loris, in a music video, but it actually bit her. And apparently she, quote unquote, laughed it off. But a little story about someone who wasn't exactly laughing. Okay. So 2012, this guy, George Madani, I found him on the internet when looking up the slow loris. He's a wildlife biologist. And long story short, he sees this slow loris in a tree and he's very curious. So he wants to go check it out. So he climbs the tree. The slow loris drops from the tree. He drops from it. And the slow loris goes like this, right? He raises his hands, which is their defensive mechanism. It makes them look bigger. They're showing their venomous glands. But he thinks that it's really cute. So he goes to touch it and it bites him. This venomous primate bites. And he describes it as the animal bit him and held on for 30 seconds. So he had to really get it off him. And they have a very, very painful bite. So the whole story is that their glands underneath their armpits, they ooze this noxious oil. And when they lick those glands, the saliva combines with the oil to concoct venom. And then it fills its grooved canines with that venom, which then it can use to deliver a very, very powerful bite. And so what happened to our friend George Madani, he went into anaphylactic shock, which sometimes this bite can cause. The bite is never known to kill somebody, but it caused his like lips to swell. He was in agonizing pain and his throat almost closed up. So thankfully, there was a clinic nearby where he was able to go and get a shot of adrenaline. So it caused the anaphylactic shock to stop. But long story short, they should absolutely not be pets, and they deserve to be out in the wild. Even though they're like people think they're super cute and like, oh, I wanted this to be my pet. And when they raise their hands, like they'll tickle them and they'll give them rice and mangoes. And there's so many viral YouTube videos of the loris, munching on rice balls or mangoes, but the rice balls are not good for them. They need to be wild, and like they should definitely not be pets.
Damn, I never heard of that animal either. So Lady Gaga didn't have a reaction?
I guess not.
Yeah, I feel like there's just a lot of animals going on in Indonesia, and I feel like we should leave him alone.
Yeah, and give them space to roam. That's this thing that all continents could do more of.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to educate myself a little bit before I just go into the jungles there and go on like even a hike, because I mean that guy was just like, oh, I just want to see what this animal's about, and then goes into shock from this guy. This little animal lifts his armpits. Like, who knows? Like, who would know?
They're nocturnal. If you're hiking at night, you wouldn't see one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do want to go to Indonesia very soon. There's a lot of stuff to experience there. It's honestly overwhelming. And I think to just go to Bali is doing an absolute disservice. Like, I think people just go there and they think it's live, laugh, love. And that's kind of what I'm trying to like hit on the head with the series on Indonesia, is that it's not live, laugh, love, whatever. Eat, pray, love. That's what it is. Eat, pray, love.
Like, okay. It's not laugh out loud. It's
not LOL, guys. It's a wild place. Like, it's the wildest place I've learned about yet. Everything I hear about Indonesia is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We were talking about that Titan arum before. It has the only venomous like primate that's there. You got to think about like, what does it take for a primate to be able to develop venom? Like, how did that happen? It didn't happen anywhere else. And there's other places that are equally as tropical, but
it's just above Australia, and Australia has all these animals that just are like, they don't make sense.
Yeah, they just want to kill you.
Or like the kangaroo. Like, what is that? Like, what is that?
It's like a rabbit horse with or a rabbit
with a purse.
with a purse. Yeah, marsupial. And they actually also have another venomous mammals. This isn't related to, of course, Indonesia, but the platypus is actually very venomous.
What?
Yeah.
Those are so cute though. See, that's how you fall for them. But yeah, just to wrap up, like, y'all are in a band at Coach Show. Anything going on with y'all?
Well, at this moment, we will be completing our first album.
Very exciting.
Very exciting stuff. We'll be looking at a tour in the summer.
Oh, what? Really?
Yep. So that'll be fun. And then a couple shows, and then off on tour again.
Yes. And y'all just released, I think, like, it was White Lighter.
Yeah. So we just released a song called White Lighter. You can listen to it on any streaming service. We spell the band SOKOJO to keep it easy for everyone. But yeah, it's dancey, rock and roll. So if you're into that kind of thing, give it a listen.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming on for the first Indonesian episode of the series.
Whoop, whoop.
I definitely learned a lot. And then we'll have next episodes about Krakatoa, the largest volcanic eruption ever recorded. But yeah, y'all go ahead and tune in to their new single, Sokocho's new single, White Lighter.
Looking for a flame, and that's when she came along. Close one eye and taking aim. When we spoke, there were moments would share her chosen moments, and all that we both left unspoken, we let fly into the open. Thought it was all a myth, but now I think it's kinda true. You're my white lighter, darling, taboo tattooed over you. I see the white smoke dancing, black ink goes on and on. Red lips reduced to rubble, her spell is what I want. I hold her in my hand, she gladly comes. Who cares what the walls say when the words are in that font? And street lamps pass by overhead, and no one knows what happens next. Heated heads feel the effects. She burns so bright, yeah. Thought it was all a myth, but now I think it's kinda true. You're my white lighter, darling, taboo tattooed over you. I see the white smoke dancing, black ink goes on and on. Red lips reduced to rubble, her spell is what I want. I hold her in my hand, she gladly comes. Who cares what the walls say when the words are in